Hello, Mr. Paul here, back with another theory video yet again. And in this one, I want to talk about chord inversions and more specifically voice leading. So I already have a video on inversions, but we're going to talk about how to use these to get smoother voicings with our chords. So what do I mean by this? Well, let's just pick two hypothetical chords here. Let's go C chord and an F chord. All right. So if I have a C chord and an F chord, I'll go ahead and spell these out. What I want to do is I want to try to invert one of these chords to make it closer to the other one, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's start with the C chord. That's like my home base here. It's the first chord I have, so I'm just going to keep it in root position. But this F chord is really far away, and it kind of sounds a little choppy when I'm trying to play a song and I'm bouncing my hand everywhere. Sometimes we want to do that, but usually we don't. So the goal is to try to flip this chord here, this F chord, in a way that it's a little closer to C chords. So let me just kind of walk through this and then hopefully it'll make more sense. So for example, I'm seeing here that both of these chords have a C. All right. And then I'm looking here and I'm thinking, well, is G closer to A or is it closer to F? And the answer is that's kind of in the middle. We have an F on one side, a G on the other side. So I'm going to look at E instead. So is E closer to A or is it closer to F? Well, it's pretty darn far away from A, so it must, but it is really close to F. So we're going to move E to F. That means G is going to A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip that F chord around to get a new voicing. And it'll just be an inversion. So here's my C chord in root position again. But now I'm going to take this C, I'm going to put it down here. I said E should go to F, so I'll do that. Then G should go to A. So what happened here? What did I do? I flipped this F chord around, and if you remember inversions, we end up in second inversion with C on the bottom. So I'll write second here. So the idea is if I play my F chord this way, it'll be a lot closer to this. So I have C, E, and G here. Now I have C, F, and A there. So I can go from a C chord to an F chord. Just like that. And it's way easier to play than trying to jump our hand around. Not only that, it sounds a little smoother, okay? So that's really the basic idea behind voice leading. Then of course when we get a whole bunch of chords in a row, we need to kind of think this through a little more. But just going from simply one chord to the next chord, this would be the process. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write a 4-chord progression out, and we're gonna figure out this voice leading together. So let's see, what do we want to do here? Let's go C, F, A minor, G major. So here's C. What did I say? F, A minor, then G. So I'm going to start off with my C chord here in root position. Then we're going to do the same flip we just did for F earlier. So I put C on the bottom, F here, and A there. Oop, kind of a weird A. You see it though. Alright, so now what I need to do is figure out how to get from this shape to this shape as smoothly as possible. So down here I'm going to write the notes for my A minor chord. A, C, and E. And then I'm going to do the same voice leading thing that I did for the last time. So first thing I'm going to look for is there any notes in common between these two chords? And the answer is yes, we have an A. So if you have the exact same note between two chords, you might as well just keep it there. So I'll put that A there. A is taken care of. All right, any other notes in common? Oh yeah, they both have a C. Okay, so I'll just put that C there. And then F goes to E quite nicely. So here we get C, E, A. So that would be an A minor chord in first inversion. So what do we end up here? We have C in root, F in second inversion, A minor in first inversion. And now we got to figure out how to get from this shape into G. So let's see, G is going to be G, B, D. So first thing, let's see, are there any notes in common? Uh-oh, no, there's not. Okay, that's a bummer. So now we got to figure out what notes are close to each other. So let's start with G. So G is not really anywhere close to C, about as far as you can get. G is not that close to E either, but it is fairly close to A. So let's go ahead and put it there. Then I got B and D left over. Well, B kind of, or D I'd say, sits kind of in between C and E, right? So it can go either way, so we better look at B. Then B is nowhere close to E, so that means that we need to put this B here, and D is going to go here. So now what do we end up with? A G chord. Oops, sorry. There we go. In first inversion. Then with any luck, this chord is going to flow right back into that first C chord if we start the progression all over again. So we have B, D, G, and it does flow pretty good. Let's double check this though. So we're trying to land back on this shape if possible, and it seems like it works out that way. So this G can stay where that G is. Then we have E and C left over. Well, C is kind of directly in between B and D. So let's figure out E, and then E is obviously closer to D. So we'll put that there. Bada bing, bada boom. We end up back in root position. It doesn't always work that way, but in this case, it does. So let's hear what this sounds like. Originally, playing everything in root position, I'd have like a C chord. I move to an F chord, then an A chord, then down to G. That's all root position. But now let me do this voice leading. I have C, E, and G. I'm going to keep C where it is, move up to F and A. Then this next one, the F's going to move back down to E, but I'm going to keep that A there. And then I'm going to move that whole shape down for a B, D, and G. And that puts me back into a C major chord. So here it is again. Much smoother than... Now, does that version sound bad? Not necessarily. So if I'm kind of vamping on this, I'll probably just use smooth voice leading if I'm just playing block chords. Something like that. But if I'm running some patterns, I might move around a little bit and do some of that. So, but generally speaking, voice leading is a good way to go, at least when we're figuring out a song. And I can you do those patterns with voice leading too. Some of that. So that's really it in a nutshell. The deeper you get into this stuff, we'll find some pretty common cadences, which is just a fancy word for really common chord progressions. So if you're a classical pianist, you're already very familiar with like a 1-4-5-1 kind of sound. And maybe I'll make another video specifically on that progression. But then there's a lot of progressions that pop up in pop music. So, you know, the more of these we figure out, you'll kind of learn some standard voice leading for those things. And then next thing you know, I'd be able to read through some lead sheets and get through some non-traditional music a lot quicker. So that is chord inversions for voice leading in a nutshell. So play around with some voice leading. I'll probably make a second video on this, and we'll go from there.